it's 7 o'clock. Are you getting it? Are we getting it? You gotta let me sit in it. You understand I'm bugging out right about this. Okay. All right. Thermal paper roll. Oh, yeah. This is the whole reason I came early. Where's Frank? Oh, you don't have one.
Okay, I will call to order the meeting of Tuesday, October 15th, 2024. I ask all who have not signed in, please do so. Please turn off all cell phones and other electronic devices. This meeting room is equipped with inductive loop hearing assistance system. You'll be able to hear conversations through the microphones or hearing aids with a T-switch. This meeting is also live streamed versus YouTube with text messaging available. Emergency exits can be found to your right and to your left. At this time, if you please join us in a salute to the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. First, I want to wish to declare necessarily absent Town Board Member Drew Cusimano this evening, and reminder that the Town of Victor is an early voting location starting on Saturday, October 26th. And we have a public hearing notice.
Notice of public hearing, Town of Victor, proposed local law to amend Town of Victor fence code. Please take notice, the Victor Town Planning Department has proposed an amendment to Chapter 211-41, fences, and Chapter 211-12, word usage definitions. The draft local law has been submitted for the town board's review and is on file in the town clerk's office. Please take further notice that a public hearing regarding the proposed local law amendment shall be held on October 15th, 2024 at 7 p.m. at the Victor Town Hall. Written comments may also be directed to the Victor Town Clerk on or before 12 p.m. on October 15th. The meeting was, that's it. And it was posted in the paper on September 24th.
Thank you, Karen. And I know Adam is not with us this evening. He spoke earlier to this board back in September. Frank is with us from the Building and Planning Department as well, if we have any questions or comments you'd like to ask. So at this time, I'd ask if there's any members of the public care to speak for or against this amendment to the fence code. Again, I ask if there's any members of the public care to speak for or against this amendment to the fence code. Okay. Motion to close this public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Okay, meeting minutes. Start with September 23rd.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Those opposed? Meeting minutes are approved. Manifest number 19. We'll ask the town clerk to please introduce.
Manifest number 19 in the amount of $347,718.76 has been reviewed by the Victortown Board with the following accounts charged: General Townwide, General Outside Village, Highway Townwide, the lighting districts of Fishers, Brookwood Meadows, High Point, Cobblestone, Coil Ridge, Rolling Meadows, Stone Lay, and Legacy at the Fairways, S&S Consolidated Sewer Fund, and Trust and Agency.
Thank you, Karen. As we do at every meeting, we'd like to identify expenditures that are in the range of or exceed $5,000. So we're starting with payment number 1 to Alliance Door. This is for highway garage door maintenance. Payment number 2, Shalafo Law for assessor legal support. Number 3, Civic Plus renewal for Parks and Rec software. Payment to Heidelberg for materials for various town roads. Payment to Hometown Energy, September fuel. Payment to Integrated Systems, security camera and software renewal. Monroe Tractor, highway equipment parts. NVP Healthcare, October health insurance. NOCO Energy, September diesel fuel purchased. Payment to New York State Comptroller for August court fees collected. Payment to RG&E, Townwide Electric. Town of Farmington for pump station number 6 repairs. And Zolad's construction mulch grinding. The total of the above-mentioned expenditures is $283,806.43. Total town expenditures minus the previous mentioned expenditures equals $63,912.33. Board members, any questions on this evening's abstract? Hearing none, entertain a motion to approve the payments hereof.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Voucher has been paid. Privilege of the floor. This evening, our school superintendent is here with us to give us an overview of the capital project.
Thanks, Mr. Marin. Turn this on. Thanks for having me. Along with me, I brought some reinforcements. We have George Spinaris here from Campus Construction, as well as Allison Shannon from SWBR Architectural Firm. We just want to take a few minutes and talk a little bit about the Victor Central School District Capital Project. So our vote is actually 9 days from tonight. That is Thursday, October 24th, from 12 noon until 8 p.m. in the, it's actually on campus at the Aquatic Center lobby. That's where the vote will be, from 12 to 8 p.m. on Thursday, October 24th. So I'll talk just a little bit about the project, and then if the board has any questions, we'll be sure to try to answer them as much as we can. I want to start off with a little history lesson. Back in 1938, the Victor Board of Education purchased the Ladd Farm, 166 acres, which is where our current campus is. At the time, legend has it that it wasn't the most popular move because we had about 100 to 150 kids in the district. They were trying to consolidate the district area. And in fact, I believe they rented out the farm for a few years before they put the first building there, which is now our early childhood school. But since 1938, we have increased significantly our population. We currently, on a day-to-day basis, have over 5,000 people on that campus, approximately 4,300 students, and over 850 adults and 8 buildings. So what started as a really great idea with forethought turned into something that was really important, and now we're honestly running out of space on that campus. And what do we need to do? We need to expand to some degree. So what has happened is, even in the last 15 years, we've had an addition of over 500 students. We have been stabilized in terms of student enrollment the last 4 to 5 years, and we anticipate a stable enrollment over the next 5 to 7 years. However, because of the significant increases in students all the way back from the mid to late 90s, it's really difficult in terms of space. So space is an issue. So 2 themes from our project include expansion of 3 of our buildings, the intermediate, the junior high, and the senior high, as well as renovation of current spaces to turn them, especially offices and other types of facilities, into instructional spaces. And then a common theme across the whole project is safety and security. We want to reinforce that in every way possible. because it is one campus. It's a unique place where everybody's on one campus, but that can also lead to some safety challenges. And certainly repairs are also a major part of the project, because if you don't pay for the repairs now, you have to pay for them later, and typically they're more expensive. So I'm just, what I just said is kind of summarized on this slide. We've had actually 5 capital projects since 2007, between 2007 and 2019. The leadership of the district's done an amazing job during that time. Those 5 capital projects averaged about $22 million. But it was really trying to keep up with the enrollment increases, and what we still have are challenges around that enrollment and how to meet the needs of kids with this number of students and staff on one campus. So those are really the relationship between the increasing enrollment and then the safety and security needs, the expansion needs around the intermediate, junior high, and senior high, as well as spatial needs that we need to restore across different facilities, and then repairs. This is another way to look at our 4 themes. I'm just going to take a couple of minutes and talk about each one. So safety and security, that's all encompassing. We are going to strengthen the entrances of 4 out of the 5 buildings, including the vestibules, so that they're safer when people go in. There's more protection for people, and knowing that who's invited and who might not be invited into a school setting. We're building our own security office in the high school. We've added 7 security personnel in the last 3 years. We used to have 0 except for a school resource officer. Now we have 7 on duty and the school resource officer, but we need office space for them to do their job. We're improving our window protections across the front and main entrances of all the buildings, upgrading our public address system and our phone system and clock systems, which in case of emergency drills really could save seconds, but those seconds could save lives if needed in any type of emergency. So we're going to upgrade that. Additional parking is a piece to this project. Anybody who's been on our campus anywhere during the day or after school knows how tough it is to park. A lot of that parking occurs on grass, and it can be unsafe, especially with sight lines. So we are adding parking, but we're going to be very cognizant of not diminishing our field space, because that's critically important, whether it's our high school teams or our youth sports team. So we're going to really make sure that we're not inadvertently decreasing space for fields, but we do have space to add parking to it. And then you'll see other areas of safety and security that are on this part of the project. These are just some pictures. That's a vestibule on the top left. We're going to shift the entrances in 2 of the buildings, in the junior high and the senior high. I'll talk about that in a second. And those are pictures of that right there. That's the old entrance to the junior high, I believe. And then the new entrance, actually the old entrance to the senior high, and then the new entrance to the senior high.
That comes off the north parking lot, Tim?
Excuse me?
That bottom right picture is coming off the north parking lot?
Yes, yeah. You'll see a better picture of that in a second. This is just an example of some of the parking issues we have on a day-to-day basis. You can see all the cars on the grass. And again, the sight lines are challenging, and that could lead to safety issues. So we have a lot of work to do around that. And then a big aspect of our project are renovating existing space. So we have a learning center, which is the old Y building that we bought about 2 years ago. We're using that currently. We started using that last school year. Probably had over 170 students go through that building. It's really right now for kids who are temporarily out of school, either for medical reasons or behavioral reasons. And instead of having them sit at home all day and get maybe get tutoring, if they have tutoring available, outside tutoring in their homes, we get them 3 hours of tutoring every day, and we also transport them there. That building has a temporary license on it, so we bought it knowing that in the next capital project that we had, we would need to renovate it, so that's obviously part of this project. We're looking at the old bus garage. In the last project, we built a new bus garage, the 2019 capital project. We're going to take the old bus garage and turn it into a career and technical education center for kids. with a specialty in vocational auto, electrical and electrician work, and potentially welding and manufacturing. It's not going to take the place of Wayne Finger Lakes BOCES, but it will take a segment of our kids in high-interest areas in career and technical education that we can have right on our campus instead of having to go an hour and a half each day to Newark and take those programs. We're adding air conditioning
Can
to
I ask you a
all.
question on that,
Yeah.
Tim? I just want to make sure, because I'm trying to give correct information when people
Right.
are asking me, because at first, a lot of people were against that, right? I mean, like, well, we're paying for BOCES, why we
Right.
run our own center? And I'm telling them that it costs us $35,000 to $40,000 per kid to send them down there.
Yeah.
And I said, if we can house it in-house.
Yep.
And encourage more kids to take it, because I do think Flint is a deterrent sometimes, the kids not wanting to miss after-school activities.
Right.
And so I'm selling it like that to say, you know, it's a win-win for our kids. if they-
Yeah, you're exactly right. I don't have the exact price of it, but it costs money to send kids to BOCES. We'll still send many kids to vocational training in BOCES, but this would take a segment of them and have them educated here. And we could do a couple things. We could pay for our own staff and just have it for Victor kids, or we could collaborate with BOCES and create a satellite BOCES location, which would be this location, and actually probably make revenue off of it. The only difference in that one is we'd have a small number of kids, probably from Bloomfield and maybe Canandaigua, that would also participate, because we've been talking as a Wayne Finger Lakes superintendent's group about potentially creating those satellite programs. But again, you're certainly, we already did a survey with kids. There'd be a significant larger number of kids interested in these programs if they knew they didn't have to go an hour and a half every day, because that really takes a chunk out of their day. So that's a really exciting piece to this project. Like I just said, adding air conditioning, cafeterias, and gymnasiums. We had to close school for 2 half-days last spring because of the heat index. This would minimize the likelihood that we would have to be able to do that, or we'd have to do that. It also adds quality of life, especially in things in large spaces like a cafeteria, which has 200 or 300 kids, and certainly when kids are running around in the gymnasium. A big aspect of this project is, like I said, taking existing spaces like offices and other spaces that aren't necessarily directly used to educate kids right now and turn them into educational spaces. That includes the potential of a community health clinic. We've talked to Mr. Marin and other people in the town, in the county of Ontario, about setting up these clinics that are satellite clinics across the county. It would, in this case, would be more for student mental health, kids who have diagnoses with mental health disorders and needs, and it would also support families. It would be right on campus, especially after school, where now we have a shortage of those types of facilities across Ontario County, so that would be a way to connect with the community. And then you'll see other renovations on there. I do want to mention the turf field, number 7, that's our soccer field. And what it would do is it would turf this field. It's unfortunately, because of the drainage and the use over the last 5 years, because of the rain, anytime it rains, we basically can't use that field. And so it kicks the kids from playing soccer off the field and puts them onto Corbett Field, which is the turf lacrosse football field. But then that displaces other kids, including our marching band. So we know that if we can turf this field, it'll be much better irrigation. We'll be able to utilize it much more frequently, and we'll be able to really have more equity for male and female sports across the turf fields and bring our marching band much more frequently onto our campus rather than practicing in the parking lots, which they do now.
I think the other advantage of that, which I've also been selling, because I corrected somebody, they said, well, aren't you going to move the lights? And I said, no, that field is approved for soccer.
Yes.
The reason we can't host soccer now on turf is because the football field is not the same width as the
Right.
soccer field.
So we're working on actually expanding that space for that soccer field, because right now it's still a little bit small for some of the sectional competition that we could have. So this would be slightly expanded. We're working on ways to do that as well. So that's the renovation piece. So we have safety and security that goes across the whole project, and a lot of those areas right there also include safety and security, obviously, and renovation and innovation. These are just some examples. You see that beat-up building on the top left? That's the old Y building. So we need to do a lot of work with that. We are temporarily using it, but to put it up to code, That's essential to happen in the next year to 2 years. That's why that'll probably be the first thing we do in the project, because we want to continue to use that building. That's a picture of the old bus garage on the bottom left, and then the bottom right would be a rendition of what it would look like as a career and technical education center. That's an example of a day 2 weeks ago where it stopped raining at 10 in the morning, but we still couldn't use the soccer field at 7 p.m. for a girls' soccer game because it was not safe because of the poor drainage. This is the least exciting part of the project, but just as important as anything else. Roofs, asbestos abatement, HVAC upgrades and elevator repairs, and electrical services. We have to have these types of restorations and repairs. You either do them now or you do them later, and when you have to do them later, they're more expensive, and typically more things fall apart. So this is a section of the project as well. At the end, I'll show you a breakdown of the payment towards these different areas. This is just some great pictures of some of the renovation, including roof replacement that has to occur. And then the last theme is the most expensive part of the project. We want to add 22 classrooms, 17 to the junior high, senior high, and 5 to the intermediate building. Not only have we had a significant increase in enrollment that's really had an effect on these 3 buildings, but the complexity of students has also significantly increased in the last few years. We have much higher percentages and numbers of students with disabilities than in the past, a much greater number of students who speak English as a second language, a significantly higher number of students with who need mental health support and just mental health challenges to begin with. So we need a lot of spaces for smaller group instruction for those types of areas. So you have a building like the intermediate building where we have 47 sections of classes in 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. We barely have room for those 47 classrooms, much less room to support students with disabilities in smaller sections of classes, smaller spaces, including English as a second language as well, and a lot of the counseling space where we need to meet with individual kids and families around family counseling. So what's happened in the intermediate building is frequently they're using closets and other storage areas for space, which is really not acceptable for the work that we have to do. That's how tight the space is in the intermediate building. In addition, the cafeteria is not big enough for the over 1,000 kids. So basically, because the lunch lines, we don't have enough lunch lines, kids are getting about 7 to 8 minutes to eat lunch every day. They're in there for technically 20, but it takes them 12 to 13 minutes to go through a lunch line, and then they get 7 or 8 minutes to each, which is why we want to expand the junior high cafeteria. At the high school, junior high level, or I'm sorry, the intermediate cafeteria. At the junior high and the high school level, you have some of the same issues, but also just instructional space is at a premium. So we have one science lab for maybe 2 to 3 science classrooms, which means kids don't have the time to get in and do the laboratory work necessary to have a strong science education. And those lab spaces right now are not equipped for 21st century science instruction. We don't have enough room for our increasing enrollment in business and career and technical education and just technology in general, those types of courses, computer programming, computer science. We're running out of space. We're increasing courses in those types of programs because the interest is such a great interest, but we don't have the space to teach them. We have a library at the high school right now where we have a special ed classroom in the middle of it. We also have a career center there that is basically a closet that doesn't give us enough space to have people come in to talk to our kids, whether it's college or career counseling. And we have our workplace learning, which is a new program where we get kids out into the community for internships. We actually have that office in our library. So really all those spaces, special education, career center, workplace learning, are critically important. They need their own space. Right now they're in the high school library, and we certainly need enough space for our high school library to be an effective library. So we're out of space. We're struggling with those space issues, which is why we're looking at adding those 22 classrooms and additional cafeteria space for the junior high and the intermediate building. This is some examples of the spaces that we try to utilize to teach kids in small groups. Again, they're closets and storage space. This is an example of some of the overcrowding in the cafeterias at the junior high school and the intermediate building. And the bottom picture is interesting. Those are kids waiting in line to do laboratory experiments because there's not enough room. We don't have enough lab space to do it. And then these are the renderings of what things will look like. So basically, we're going to add some significant, we're going to add the 17 classrooms across the front of the junior high, senior high that faces High Street. I think this one there, that's what shows it. So not only will that add space, but it'll also add safety and security because the 3 entrances that we currently have going into the junior high and the high school would be covered up by the new addition. We'll still have plenty of space for emergency exits, but that certainly will help with the safety and security of the building. It will create some beautiful courtyards, which right now are open spaces. And the front, as Mr. Condon said, the north front entrance will be the main entrance to the high school, and then the entrance on the side of the junior high will be the main entrance to the junior high school. So the cobblestone entrance right now. Cost. So if you look on the right, that's the cost of the project based upon the themes I just discussed. As I mentioned, the program expansion in those 3 buildings is the most costly at over $45 million, but safety and security is also right up there at over $23 million. If you look at our funding, we have saved $28.4 million in our capital reserve over the last 4 years because of the work that we've done with New York State and the work through our campus construction group and our SWBR architects. We've been able to secure $60.6 million from New York State to support this project. And we have approximately a little over $4.6 million coming off of debt from previous projects. So the total cost of the project is $99,419,031, but we have over $93 million covered towards that, which leaves $5,727,412 left for the new local share that would be spread across the taxpayers of the Victor Central School District. We expect that number, that's the worst case scenario, we expect that actually to be smaller because of the fact that we are saving some of the money from the capital reserve, the $28.4 million. They're in specialty bonds, and we're able to gain interest on those through state-approved bonds. And so we're hoping to gain another $1 million to $2 million out of that during the life of the project. What does that mean for the taxpayer? It's an estimated increase in taxes of 16 cents per 1,000 of a full home value, and that's important. It's a full home value, not the current assessed value. That's $16.08. It's actually $16.08 per 100,000 of full home value. You can see the different prices between $200,000 home and a $500,000 home. We've been sharing an example of that as a $300,000 home, which ends up being $48.24 a year average for 15 years without any star savings. It's certainly, as you can see, less than that depending on whether you have basic star or enhanced star. It is a 15-year term which starts in the 26-27 school year. An important note around all this is that $60.6 million is already approved by the state. It's for facilities development across the state, so if this project doesn't come through, that $60.6 million will go to another community and most likely another school district in the state. It doesn't go back to the taxpayer. So that's just an example of the presentations we're doing. We're trying to be as transparent as possible. We have 2 more guided tours tomorrow night from 6:30 to about 7:15 p.m. If you come to the Victor Intermediate School main doors, right at 6:30 p.m., we're going to lead people on a tour of where we're going to renovate and expand in the intermediate building. And then next Monday, the 21st, we're going to do a little guided tour of some of these off-sites that we're renovating, such as the Learning Center, the old bus garage, the soccer field. We're going to show people around there, too. That's a lot. I apologize for the length, a lot of information. Again, probably the most important piece is Thursday, October 24th is the vote. Any questions from the board about the project?
How long is the vote? What time?
The vote is Thursday, October 24th. It's an 8-hour time frame from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. A little tidbit around why we're having it in the Aquatic Center lobby. We usually have these votes in the boardroom at the early childhood school, but because the space needs there, we had to close off some space and use it for classrooms, which then really makes it hard to have a vote there anymore. So that's why we're moving the vote to the Aquatic Center lobby.
And it does appear, it's almost like finish one project and you're already planning another one, or looking at the growth in both these communities is, have you been able to kind of forecast what these additional 22 classrooms will take you as far as the future? Is it 5 years, less?
Yeah, as you know, whenever you forecast enrollment, the longer you forecast it out, the less accurate it is. So we feel confident in the next 5 to 7 years that our enrollment is stable, based upon the enrollment study we did a year ago. We don't know for sure after that, based upon some of the housing that's being developed, especially in Farmington, but we know that we've been stable a few years before that, and like I said, for the next 5 to 7 years at least, we look at stable enrollment, which should be right around somewhere between 4,300 kids, including pre-K. These classrooms would go a long way in supporting the current enrollment. So if we didn't get more enrollment after this, then in terms of classroom space, we'd be in great shape, because we've added classroom space to the early childhood school already in the last couple projects. And the primary school, although is busy, but we have a little bit more space there. The real issue has been these 3 buildings, which we would really make a big dent in that negative issue around space in those 3 buildings by passing this project. So as long as the enrollment's stabilized, I think we're going to be in great shape for that. We have other needs, obviously, still looking at, potentially some more field space for our district, including also potentially more auditorium space right now because we use it so much. But in terms of classrooms, this would be an excellent move to stabilize it.
Thank you. Questions for Jim?
Just a few questions. Is there a reason why you chose this date instead of when, like, the school board election is up?
Yes, so, great question. Originally, we wanted to put this capital project up to vote last year, and that would have either been, typically there's 2 times, and they know more than I do on this one, but the 2 general times for capital project votes, and it could be any time, but is normally when you have a school budget vote in May, or December is a big month for capital project votes. Well, we weren't able to do December of 2023 or May of 2024 because the state was taking a longer time to finalize the state aid, the building aid numbers that we wanted. And so the building aid wasn't enough in last winter and spring that we felt comfortable enough coming to the community and asking for that type of commitment from the community. So, but we also didn't want to wait too long, because we know that once the state did finalize things in July and early August of this summer, we didn't want to wait too long and wait till next December or May, because a couple things. One, there's a bunch of community schools districts going out with facilities votes in December of this year, and then more will come out in May. And if we can get out in front of those districts and pass this in October, then we'll be ahead of the game in terms of bids and potentially save some significant money because of that. And we also know because of inflation, the longer we wait, the more likelihood the cost for these for supplies and labor will go up. So it was kind of a combination of wanting to do it last year, but not having the state aid that we felt was appropriate to bring to the community to support a project like this. And then once we did get the state aid, we didn't want to wait very long, because we didn't want to wait another 6 to 8 months because of the costs of that. So that's why this October vote, which was, there's no magical thing to it, it was literally, what's the time frame to have that once the board approved it in August?
Okay. And then, so the vote that's coming up, it's just approval on the project, and then the vote in May on the budget will see the increase in the tax rate?
Well, so actually, It's two separate things. So, yes, you're correct. The October vote next Thursday is just for the $99 million capital project.
Yep.
And again, a reminder to people that they're not paying for the 99 billion. We're covering over 93 million of that. The worst case scenario is we're spreading 5.7 million across the taxpayers. But that actual increase doesn't start till 26-27 school year.
Okay.
The vote in May of 2025 will be for the yearly school budget. And that one's completely separate from the capital project vote. And again, this is where it gets kind of complicated with reassessments and home values, but technically, our tax rate for the Victor Central School District, the average true tax rate, has actually decreased in the last 7 years, even though many people's taxes have gone up, obviously, because of their home values. But our tax rate right now is right around $14 per 1,000. And so this particular increase in the tax rate would take effect in 26, 27, and then over time, over a 15-year period for that. And that would be in addition to whatever the tax rate is from the yearly budget.
Okay. And then would the changes on the buildings, would that require any sort of increase in staff?
Another great question. We don't anticipate it, depending on, we don't anticipate of a significant increase in staff. What we're trying to do is spread the kids out more.
Yeah.
And use the staff that we have to instead of having them on carts and having to share multiple classrooms, or, again, having them teach in closets and/or spaces that are being used for other instruction, to spread them out and make sure that they have enough space for the current staff. Now, the one area where we would add staff potentially is that Career and Technical Education Center. And again, as Mr. Condon asked, that could go two different ways. We could add our own staff and pay for it, but save money on the BOCES end, or collaborate with BOCES, create a satellite location, and then get aided on the BOCES program, which would either be cost neutral or actually make some revenue over it. But we're not looking to technically add staff around the classrooms. We're really looking to just spread our people in a more, just spread them across more area.
Okay. And then last question, on the electrical upgrade, I know there's been a lot of challenges with larger projects in the area about getting those, approvals from NYSEG and RG&E. I want to see, have you spoken to RG&E, NYSEG? Are you going to be able to have that capacity for them to give it to you?
So what we try to do is forecast out. So when we put a schedule together,
Speak in the mic. so they can
Sorry,
hear
just
you.
so we,
sorry about that. So what we try to do is forecast out. So we create a project or a schedule that has phasing. So we take into considerations all of the facets that might be long lead items, such as mostly electrical is what the issues are, HVAC systems, generators, transformers, switchgear. So we plan a project accordingly so that when we need the product, we should have it. So again, we try to get everything way ahead of schedule, built it into the schedule, so when we need it, we have it on site.
okay, but for like the electrical capacity, the utility has the capacity to implement the upgrades that you're looking to do?
Yeah, so far, yes. So the engineers, it's part of SWBR's consultants, they do the calculations, and as far as I know right now, everything is up to snuff, and we should have enough power on site to take care of all the needs for the new additions.
Okay.
And just,
So, no, like, they won't need to make improvements to like the transformers or anything like that to support, I think she's trying to answer for,
just one other item.
Yep.
You mentioned before the soccer field. Since it is going to be enlarged, there are 2 poles that are going to be moved. So, yeah.
Yes, hi. So potentially, due to the upgrade of the systems for the new air conditioning for the building, we'd have to look at the transformer sizes. But we did a cursory review of the electrical systems on site today, and it seems like everything is adequate to support those upgrades. Just upgrading them in terms of capacity will be needed in terms of generators and things like that. So,
thank you.
you're welcome.
Any other questions?
If people do have questions, is this being videoed?
Yes.
Yeah. So if people do have a question, I encourage them to go to our website, victorschools.org. Right on the front of the website is just click on the button for the 2024 capital project. All this information is there, plus a variety of presentations, plus a short video that explains the project. And certainly, people can reach out to me at any time. My email is terranovat@victorschools.org. You can call me, email me, have a conversation with us. We're getting the word out as much as possible, and we know there's lots of questions. It's a big project. We understand that, and we appreciate people, spending the time getting to understand the project and asking us questions and then making their own decisions.
Very good.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for your input as well. Okay. Public comment, opportunity for members of the public to address the town board. Suzie, do you have it? Moving to reports of town officials, we have in your packet the finance report and town historian report. Karen, you have anything? Okay. And I just had a couple things real quick. I want to thank the members of the Town Wellness Committee, specifically Brittany and Gina, for their efforts with our wellness fair. We had 30 vendors participate with a food truck as well. A large number of our employees took advantage of the opportunity to have a health assessment conducted. Appreciate town board members stopping by and participating as well. And this evening, actually, the Fishers Fire District and the Victor Fire District are holding their budget public hearings this evening. Fishers' increase is 6%. Victor's increase is proposed at 8%. And the Victor Fire Department has set a public hearing for October 29th to hear public comments on whether or not they should hire a paid fire chief. So that's the latest from those two fire districts. Board members, do you have any updates on any of your liaison responsibilities?
Yep, I attended the village board meeting last week. One thing of note is that they're applying for the New York Forward Grant Program. It's similar to the DRI. It's newer, however, it's less money, so about half at about $5 million. Today, Denise from the Idea Center was out working with Mike Stockman to take a look at Victor Municipal Park restrooms as well as Dry Road Park, and expect to have a report back probably within 2 weeks, hopefully, and wanted to check with everyone. I know maybe 2 meetings ago, we talked about going to the Motion Junction Park. The town board members said that they, many were interested in going. I wanted to see if you guys had a chance to go yet. If not, I talked to Brian. He said he'd be happy to get us all in a truck together and get out there all together and take a look. And then last thing was I attended the landfill survey supervisor that you sent, or not the survey, the public meeting, the online one. Very informative. If you guys have not gone and looked, I would highly recommend you guys. I don't know. I think they said they were going to put the video online, but if you haven't, I would definitely take a look at it.
Thank you. Very good. Anyone else? Okay, we'll move to the resolution portion of this evening's agenda. Resolution number 2, I am going to pull that. I think, first of all, I want to do some further research needed. I want to thank Councilwoman Olgra for bringing up some very good points. Whether or not this would certainly trigger a subjected to a public hearing referendum to remove any monies from that reserve. So it's pulled. Number 2 is pulled. So we'll start with number 1. And Rich is here if there's any comments or questions from the board members.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Number 1 is pulled, 2 is, 1 is passed, 2 is pulled. Number 3, appoint George Correa, part-time parks laborer.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And number 4, resolution accepting the donation from the Bill Stelling for memorial bench.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And number 5 is the authorization to purchase 2 6-foot benches for the Veterans Memorial Plaza here.
So moved.
Second.
Brian, thank you. I know you did a lot of legwork with the family. Certainly they were, I know they came into the clerk's office, Sue Stelling with her daughter, and very excited about really enhancing this area. So thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And number 6, agreement with Rachel Hucko, community course.
So moved.
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Those opposed? Number 7 is the request for a certificate of liability.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 8, enter into a professional agreement with Barclay Damon for town attorney.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Those opposed? Thank you. Number 9, award of bid for engineering design services related to Boughton Park.
So moved.
Moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Number 9 is passed. Number 10, professional service agreements. This would include Labella Associates, Nixon Peabody, Harris Beach, Sarteski Associates, and Shalafo PC as well.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Number 10 is passed. Number 11, Town of Victor, 6-month moratorium. And again, this is the extension of, we had our public hearing at the last meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Number 11 is good. Number 12, adopt the Ontario County Hazard Mitigation Action Plan.
Moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Those opposed? Number 13, shared service agreement, Soil and Water Conservation District.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Those opposed? 13 is good. Number 14, setting the public hearing for the 2024 special assessment rolls.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Number 15, accepting a letter of credit for Lightcom's building.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Number 16, Willis Hill Estates for the snowplow agreement.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those
Aye.
opposed? Number 17, local law to amend Chapter 211-41 fence.
So moved.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Roll call.
Oh, roll call, my apologies.
Supervisor Marin,
Yes.
Councilman Guinan,
Yes.
Councilman Condon,
Yes.
and Councilwoman.
No.
Okay. Public comment. Again, an opportunity for members of the public to address the town board. We'll start with Susie. And that'll be a no comment.
Susie, the new website is awesome. I'm so excited about the .gov.
Okay. There's no public comment. Motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Give that to Karen. That stuff.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.